Who could have imagined that a midweek phone call from a friend would lead to a pilgrimage to Assisi? When Pope Leo XIV declared this year dedicated to St. Francis, marking the 800th anniversary of his death, it seemed providential. In confusing times, the witness of St. Francis feels newly relevant, a reminder that renewal in the Church always begins with conversion of heart. The call St. Francis once heard before the crucifix, "Rebuild my church," still echoes today. And so the journey began. From Roma Termini, we boarded the train and climbed slowly into the Umbrian hills until Assisi appeared. Assisi does not overwhelm the pilgrim, it gently invites stillness of heart. As we arrived in Assisi, stone houses caught the evening light. Bells sounded across narrow streets, shaped by centuries of prayer. Walking uphill towards the Basilica of St. Clare, the pace of ordinary travel gave way to the rhythm of pilgrimage. As evening fell, we entered the Basilica for Vespers. Hidden behind the grille, the poor Clare sisters chanted the Divine Office. Their voices rose softly into the church, unseen, yet profoundly present, prayer offered entirely to God. As we stepped outside, Assisi was painted in gold and deep orange as the sun set over the valley. Above the town, the moon rose, recalling St. Francis's Canticle of Creation, praise offered through Sister Moon and the stars. Creation itself seemed to join in the prayer. From there we walked to the Church of St. Mary Major, the ancient cathedral of Assisi. Tradition holds that it was here that St. Francis renounced his inheritance, laying aside wealth and status in order to follow Christ completely. Today the church also holds the tomb of St. Carlo Acutis, a young modern witness whose love for the Eucharist continues to inspire pilgrims from around the world. Standing there, past and present met naturally, St. Francis, St. Clare, and St. Carlo, saints of different centuries, pointing towards the same path of holiness rooted in simplicity and trust. Before dawn the next morning, the streets were silent as pilgrims made their way towards the Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi. We arrived at the Basilica shortly before 6 o'clock, with the first pilgrims waiting for the doors to open for this veneration of the saint's relics. As we entered the lower church, anticipation gave way to deep reverence. Pilgrims moved slowly towards the mortal remains of the seraphic saint. I placed my rosary on the glass covering, grateful simply to be there. Others prayed silently or wept. Around us, Giotto's frescoes depicting the life and virtues of St. Francis surrounded the faithful. The atmosphere was one of profound devotion, quiet prayer, tears, gratitude, and awe. After the veneration, we ascended into the upper church, where Holy Mass was celebrated in a space filled with light. The movement upwards, from the saint's tomb below to the altar above, felt deeply symbolic, and in the Eucharist the journey reaches its summit. Before leaving Assisi, we stopped at the Basilica of St. Mary of the Angels, built around a tiny chapel, the small church Francis rebuilt with his own hands. Inside the vast basilica, the humble chapel stands at its heart. Here St. Francis prayed, welcomed his first brothers, and began a mission that would spread across the world. Leaving Assisi, the train carried us away from the hilltop town, yet something of its peace remained. Pilgrimage does not end when the journey home begins. It continues in memory, in prayer, and in the quiet transformation that follows encounter with grace. Assisi remains a reminder that renewal begins simply, with listening, with trust, and with the courage to follow an unexpected invitation.